Welcome back to another episode of Everything You Need to Know Before You Buy, a series inspired by Jake Baldino's Before You Buy series, where I gather all the news and trailers of an upcoming game and formulate an opinion on whether you should buy this game. I don't know whether the game is actually good or not because I don't have a review copy, etc, so I'm in the same position as you, the viewer. But the whole aim of this series is to give you some knowledge and guidance for these upcoming games. Without further ado, today I want to talk about everything you need to know before you buy Soul Hackers 2. Now, Soul Hackers 2 is an upcoming game developed by ATLUS, set to release on August 25th in Japan and August 26th worldwide. The game got announced on February 21st this year. Prior to this, there was a countdown, and I would never expect that I would announce the sequel to the 1997 game Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. Taking a step back, I just said ATLUS is the developer. For those who don't know ATLUS, you might have played one of their games, like the Megami Tensei series or its popular spin-off series Persona. And for those who don't know the Megami Tensei series, to put it in layman terms, it's Pokemon with demons. Of course, they've done other games like Catherine and the Etrian Odyssey series, for example. Looking into Soul Hackers 2, there are two interesting names I would like to introduce. They're both the director and producer. Mitsuru Hirata, who directed Radiant Historia, and Eiji Ishida, who directed Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey. Both of these guys had worked together numerous of times in different roles, but as directors, you might have heard of the game Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which was that idle game which had that crossover with Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem. It's been 25 years since the first Soul Hackers, and you might be wondering, why is Soul Hackers having a sequel in the first place? Well, there were fans often requesting a sequel over the years, however there were many concerns about the game itself. One being that it was a risk of becoming an unknown title as time went on. It's worth mentioning that Soul Hackers was only released in Japan back in 1997, and in 2012, the game did get a 3DS port, followed by an English localization the year after, so there are fans over in the West as well. However, it's been 10 years, and in an interview, Ishida expressed that he was nervous on whether people would accept the new sequels since they've completely changed the aesthetics and gameplay from the first game, which I'll talk about later. Fortunately, when the sequel got announced, a lot of people shared their memories of the first game and voiced their expectations for the sequel, as well as those who only heard of the first game and were interested to play the sequel. So what's Soul Hackers 2 about? The game is set in the midst of the 21st century, a bit further into the future, focusing on two opposing factions, Yatagarasu and the Phantom Society, very familiar organizations in the Devil Summoner series. In this world, demons exist alongside humans, and there are certain people who can summon demons called Devil Summoners. Also, there's an artificial intelligence entity called Ion that watches over the world and has foreseen a terrible calamity as a result of this war between Devil Summoners. Ion decides to create, and I mean like physically create, two AI agents, Ringo and Figu, to avert this upcoming cataclysm. They sought out to protect two people needed to avert the disaster, only to find out they have already been killed. Luckily, Ion has a special ability that Ringo can use called Soul Hack, which can resurrect their target by drawing out their regrets for dying and their strong desire to live. Here are the characters that join alongside Ringo and Figu. First, we have Arrow, a devil summoner under Yatagarasu. He's one of the two people to protect to avert the end of the world detected by Ion. He was killed whilst undercover but got resurrected by Ringo. A quiet man who doesn't say much, though he's honest, passionate, and highly values morality. Because of this, he tends to clash with the next character I'm going to introduce, called Milady. Actually, it's pronounced Melody. She's a devil summoner under the Phantom Society and was killed by an ally for some unknown reason. She too gets resurrected and joins alongside the party, seeking out the reason for her death. Calm and rational, but sometimes makes ruthless decisions. Apparently her past seems to play a part. I don't think Melody's the other person that they have to protect because there's a third person that gets resurrected later on, and I don't think it's him either. Saizo is his name, and unlike the other two, he's a freelance devil summoner. He gets killed by an agent from the Phantom Society and also resurrected by Ringo. He joins the party in pursuit of a certain objective. A romanticist and a show-off, he tends to be the mediator between Arrow and Melody, reading the air and acting accordingly. I believe these three are the only characters that are confirmed to be in the party. I don't think anyone else joins them. Aside from our protagonists, there's a fair share of antagonists in the game. I won't go into detail, but it's worth knowing that there's an antagonist that has some connection with each character, and coincidentally, they're the ones involved with their death. For example, there's a character called Kaburagi, who's aligned with the Phantom Society and is ordered to kill Arrow, which he succeeds, and you know what happens next. But the both of them are somehow acquainted with each other in the past. There's a lot more to talk about in terms of story and characters. I don't want to drag the video too long, although this is a good time to mention how ATLUS is promoting this game. If you don't know already, ATLUS has a YouTube channel called ATLUSTube, and the majority of those videos are trailers and promotion for their upcoming game. ATLUS has always done a stellar job promoting, and for Soul Hackers 2, they have uploaded a video every day since March showcasing demons, characters, and features in the game hosted by Ringo herself. They've done a daily showcase before with Shin Megami Tensei 5, focusing only on demons. The fact they're doing this again leads me to believe this kind of promotion is working to some extent. The only problem is that all the videos are in Japanese because obviously ATLUS is a Japanese company and they're focusing to cater their audience. However, there are some videos, usually the promotional trailers, that have English closed captions. Fortunately, there's another YouTube channel called Buffmeister that has uploaded all of the daily showcases and trailers from ATLUSTube with English subtitles. So if you want to see more about the game, I suggest looking into these two channels. Next, let's talk about the gameplay and the new changes Soul Hackers 2 has made. The biggest changes, gameplay-wise, is that it's nothing like its predecessor. Of course, it's been 25 years. Instead, it has taken resemblance to the recent Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games, or you could say it got modernized. For example, in Soul Hackers, you were in a first-person perspective, exploring through dungeons which were tile-based and battles were random, very reminiscent to the older titles of the main series. Whereas in Soul Hackers 2, you're in a third-person perspective as you control Ringo. When exploring a dungeon, you can freely roam around instead of being locked onto a tile. Enemies are now visible and interactable, so you can use Ringo to swing her sword preemptively onto an enemy, leaving them dazed, and when approached, you'll start a battle on your turn. This kind of gameplay is more in line with the newer titles like Persona 5, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and even Tokyo Mirage Sessions. But this gameplay dates back in 2006, when Persona 3 came out. The battle system has also taken some inspiration from its other series, but added a different approach to it. In battle, you can exploit weaknesses, standard in any Megami Tensei game. Instead of the press turn system or knocking down an enemy, Soul Hackers 2 has introduced a stacking system where every time you exploit a weakness, it adds 1 to the counter, and once you end your turn with stacks, you'll enter a special technique Ringo can use called the Sabbath, where all of your demons that was used to stack will attack all at once, similar to an all-out attack in Persona. Before initiating the Sabbath, there are certain demons that will have a tandem skill, and these skills will have an additional effect, like afflicting a status element or healing your party alongside the attack. You can stack up to 16, and I assume that's the minimum number of demons you can carry. But you might be wondering, how can you stack 16 attacks if there's only 4 turns? Which brings to the next gameplay mechanic, which is customization. Ringo, Arrow, Melody, and Saizo all have what's called a comp. Basically, it's a device used to summon demons, and in this game, it's the weapon they use. There's a comp smith shop where you can customize your comp, collecting certain materials and converting them into skills with special effects. For example, there are skills that can increase attack damage or decrease MP costs. Ringo, however, has access to commander skills, and these skills are beneficial for stacking, like allowing you to re-equip demons without wasting a turn, or increasing the number of actions you can take. The only requirement to use these skills is that a certain number of turns must pass, so you have to plan your moves ahead of time. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of gameplay is the Soul Matrix and Vision Quest, a story element used in the first game. In Soul Hackers 2, you'll get to visit Ion's main base called Axis. Here you can talk to the representative, Flammer, and enter the Soul Matrix. Within the Soul Matrix are dungeons associated with Arrow, Melody, and Saizo, and these dungeons represent their mental states. You can explore and level up just like you would outside Axis, and at a certain point in the dungeon, you'll fight a boss battle. Once defeated, you'll unlock a special summoner skill and some past memories depending whose dungeon you chose. These are called Vision Quests, and it's nearly the same as the first game, except this time we're seeing the past memories of our teammates instead of past memories of different summoners. These memories are linked to the story and relationships with certain characters. For example, as mentioned before, Arrow and Kaburagi are acquaintances to some extent. The Vision Quest will elaborate the backstory of the two, like how they first met. However, it won't reveal everything. You'll undergo many vision quests for each character, which means you have to traverse further into their dungeon. Sometimes when exploring a dungeon, you might hit a roadblock, and this is because you haven't leveled up their soul level, which is basically their relationship level, very similar to Persona social links. Ringu can level up her teammate's soul level through what's called hangover events, usually done in a bar called Bar Hydron. Also, progressing through the main story will increase our teammate's soul level as well. Moving on, it's time to discuss whether you should buy this game or not. Personally, I'm not going to buy this game on release, because the main reason is that it's £50 full price. Just like the Somnium Files Nirvana initiative, I would advise waiting for a reasonable sale before buying, or save the £50 for another upcoming game later in the year. If you are planning to buy this game on release, you may be thinking, is it worth the full price? It probably is, only if you want to play another Megami Tensei game during these times. Soul Hackers 2 might scratch that itch. From what I've seen, the game looks good overall. It's not perfect by any means, but despite the many changes, they have kept the essence of Soul Hackers like vision quests, recurring characters like Madame Ginkgo, and demons that initially appeared back then. However, if this is your first time playing a Megami Tensei game, I suggest not to buy this game and instead play the Shin Megami Tensei or Persona games that's on many platforms as well as being cheaper, just so you're familiar and know the full potential of the Megami Tensei series. Those two are the most popular with good reason. And that's it for this video. I know a lot of people, especially the West, wasn't expecting a sequel for Soul Hackers. As said before, the fans in Japan requested it over the years. I think a large majority would have preferred Persona 6 or a remake of Persona 3. Actually, ATLUS recently had a live stream showing the results of the most wanted remakes, with Persona 2 and Persona 3 being the first and second requested respectively, so even Japan are anticipating a Persona 3 remake. I've seen comments saying this game might not sell well, making comparisons with Tokyo Mirage Sessions since the directors are the same. That may be true, but I hope that's not the case. I assume ATLUS are expecting a small amount of sales in comparison to their flagship series to consider it a success. Hopefully the sales are good in Japan and the West is the added bonus. Even if worst case scenario Soul Hackers 2 did not sell well, I think this game will be the stepping stone for sequels and remakes for older titles later down the line. Anyways, before I sign off, let's talk about this channel. I've been uploading a video once a month since March. I wasn't planning to make an episode about Soul Hackers 2, but since the Live Alive video did so well, it is currently my best video on this channel and it also doubled my sub count. I wanted to carry that momentum in August by making a video. For September, I probably won't upload a video since there aren't any upcoming games I would like to cover that month. However, I'm working on an original video for October similar to my Hotel Dusk and Lifeline video. And also, I have an idea for YouTube Shorts, so maybe that might fill in September's block. October is going to be a busy month, so be sure to check out this channel then. I hope you enjoyed this episode of everything you need to know before you buy. If you want to support the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time and catch you guys later. Take care.